to another edition of Moorish World TV. I definitely welcome you to another edition of Moorish World TV. And I want to make a few comments before we get into the show. Before we get into the show, the first comment is this. On Ali's Men website, we have a digital presentation of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, spoken word artist and scholar, Ali's Men member, and I can go on and on with his credentials. Brother Tunica recited the entire Quran. It's on CD. It's a 4 CD package. Go on to Ali's Men website, take a look at it. You see, I got mine. They didn't give me this. I'm a member of Ali's Men, and they didn't give me this. I paid my bread. Hey, it's worth it. The reason why it's worth it is because sometimes you just want to be in your whip and cut off that old crazy radio. And Baltimore is 92Q. Shout out to 92Q. I love you. But sometimes I just want to hear the Holy Quran. Sometimes I just want to hear the Holy Quran. I'm not trying to hear the new Wheezy. I'm not trying to hear the new whomever. I ain't trying to hear that sometimes. Sometimes I just want to hear some Moorish talk. So what do? I either go to a Moorish channel on YouTube and play it to my system, or now what I do is I listen to the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America recited by our good brother Tunica and Lasana Tunica. I hope y'all go to the website and take a look at this. I hope y'all go to the website and take a look at this. Hold on one moment. Give me a minute. I'm missing something. Hope y'all go to the website and take a look at this. And when y'all do look at it, go and purchase it. I'm looking for my phone, actually, people, because I got 5 things going on at once. I'm waiting on my brother to come in the chat. But with that being said, let my brother come in, brother Sharif, Anel Bey. But before he comes in, let me first and foremost, always rising, giving praise to the great God of the universal law. I give honor to his noble, illustrious prophet. Hold up one second. I got to stop for a minute because this is the brother. All right. First and foremost, I rise giving praise to Allah. And this is not formality, so I want to just cut everything. Because when we say rise, we're trying to raise our thoughts to infinite wisdom. Even though I'm sitting here, we want to raise our thoughts and give praise to the great God of the universal law, the one that woke you and I up today without the alarm clock. He gave us the ears to even hear the alarm clock. He tapped us on the shoulder before we even knew that we were going to be waking up. So we want to give praise to Allah for that. We want to give honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm giving honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali because I was so asleep at one time that I'm telling you, all of this stuff that I've been hearing lately, I'd have been on a manhunt, if you follow me. So thank Allah for sending us a prophet like the prophet that we have, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, for waking me up. And with that, I want to bring my brother, brother Sharif, in the chat, and let him introduce himself, where he's from, and where he's at. Islam, brother Sharif, are you there?
Islam, brother man.
Islam, how you doing, my brother?
All is well, brother man. I'm Moorish, praise Allah. I want to first rise, give praise to Allah, honest to his prophet Noble Drew Ali, honest to the Moorish Science Temple of America, honest to all Moorish Americans, whether they know it or not. I want to give honors to my brothers and comrades and Ali's Men. I want to give honors to Moorish World TV and those who are listening and tuned in, and to the host. Islam, brother man.
Islam. Well, what I want people to know is I want to say one thing before we move on with the show. Brother Sharif, what do you think about this? Hold on, I want people to see me when I say this. What do you think about this, brother Sharif? After all of the stuff that's been going on, all of the stuff on the internet about Ali's Men, Tahaka Bay, sovereignty, non-sovereignty, etc., etc.
Yes, sir.
I say we say this. Why don't we be grown men and women and sit at the table of solutions? I say that we present the offer to anybody, and that means anybody. That means I'm talking about a man to man, woman to man, man to woman debate. I'm not talking about debates that we see in NYC. I'm talking about a professional, collegiate type debate. If you think a right to travel, if you think national over being a citizen is correct, if you think the flag on the left and on the right is correct, whatever topics that you think, we say we are ready to have a collegiate style, professional style debate with any detractors, any name callers, any provocateurs that say that the doctrine that we teach, according to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as we know it, is false. What do you think about that, Brother Sharif?
I tell you, brother, man. Well, you already know how I feel personally about the debate issue. You know, I'm really not one, honestly, for to engage in debates. But I got to tell you, for the sake of humanity and for the sake of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the direction of the Moorish movement, this is a conversation that I think is long overdue and should take place. So I think that that's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. For the past number of years, we've held ourselves out there, and I say we as in Ali's men, we've held ourselves out there as willing and ready at any time to have this very conversation with those on the other side of the table relative to the topic. And we stay, that doesn't change. I think even more so now, the conversation is needed, to provide, if not for nothing else, to provide a clearer understanding of what the Moorish movement is actually and truly about, because the interest in the Moorish movement is growing by leaps and bounds. And the people deserve, they deserve a real, cogent, and responsible, understanding. They deserve it. We all deserve it. So I think it's a good idea. So that's where I stand with it, brother.
Exactly. You know what? I want to ask those in the audience. Do you think? Now listen what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the circus. I'm not talking about the circus of a debate. I'm talking about a real, true, collegiate style debate. Professionalism with judges, so we can settle this once and for all. Now we know in reality, some people are just not going to let go, no matter who is considered the victor. But in this, there is no real victor, because the real victor is those who can take the knowledge and the information and impart it to their family, uplift their family, and help build this nation. Those are the real victors. So we want to say that it doesn't matter what you say you subscribe to or what you believe in. We're saying that if you're so, because listen, before my brother come on, let me send it to him. Give me 1 second, family. So, see, what we did was we started having a conversation. And in this conversation about a right to travel, about current gains, and about all of this stuff, our brothers on this panel presented information. They presented information. And what came back was a bunch of name calling, I'm the agent. Come on, man. That ain't gonna get you off of this. That's just like a child getting a beating and say, stop abusing me. I'm calling the police, mommy. Mommy, Mama gonna put that smack down because you ain't been acting right. So a bunch of name calling, a bunch of talking about really ridiculous stuff. I'm talking about real filthy stuff, which is cool. I can't do nothing through the internet. You know what I mean? I can't do nothing through the internet, so I'm gonna let you say whatever you want. It's cool with me. Fine, keep talking. But in the real sense, if you think you got what it takes, I will, and I'm pretty sure, but I'm saying I will, but I'm pretty sure Ali's men will support in this. Pick the place, pick the venue, and we can get it done. Ain't no need to go back and forth. Ain't no need to go back and forth anymore. All we got to do is let us know when you ready. Anybody that knows somebody that disagree with what we've been putting out as related to the situation that's been going on lately, send them the message. Give them the message. Email me to harkerbay@yahoo.com, the old school Yahoo. Email me. And we can start to get this set up. We can set up the topics. We can pick the venue. It doesn't matter. Anywhere in the country. Don't matter. Because what we're about to do is we're about to separate the real from the fake. We're about to Islam, hold 1 second, my brother. Hold 1 second. So what we're about to do is separate the real from the fake. We're about to see if you truly believe in this stuff. Because, see, we truly believe in the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So with that being said, I want to say this, and then I will repeat this, that anybody that feel as though that they want to have a collegiate, professional style, presidential style debate as it relates to any of that nationalist, whatever they don't want to be sovereign citizens no more. So I don't know what you call yourself now. But whatever you call yourself, you know who you are. We ready to do it, and that's it. Now, here we go. Here we go. I got my brother in the building, and we moving on to another subject right now. Big brother, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Brother. How you doing? Peace and love.
I'm doing well. I got my brother Ngozi on the phone right here, brother Sharif. He had to call in today. So I'm about to set him up so that people can hear. So, brother, how you doing? First and foremost, we got brother Sharif in the on the panel. We got you on the phone. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm well, man. Everything is in divine order. Peace to you, brother Sharif. Islam to the whole family out there, man. I'm well, man. Everything's good. I'm alive. I'm winning. You know what I'm saying? I'm winning. I'm alive.
That sounds good. I'm gonna try to get this other line up. I was trying to get you on this other line because this on my other. This ain't on the show phone, and then every time something come through here, it's gonna buzz. It's gonna buzz. I try to shut it down, but it happens anyway. So, brother, why don't you introduce yourself to the people and let's get this started?
Oh well, I was going to college. I've been around for a little while, since about 2010. My name is Jesse Ngozi to the conscious community. I was known through Nikki Love's show. Nikki Love, and then after Nikki Love, I was part of the Armor Raw Squad. In between, through the history, I used to teach science, and I also taught at one point, metaphysics before, started getting involved and telling people about the science. I went to college. I went to Triton. I got my associates and my first 50 credits at Triton. After Triton, I turned around and went to Olivet in between. After Olivet, we merged to Eastern, and I completely finished at Governor State University within Illinois, University of Illinois, whatever. So when I finished that's why I got the rest of my University Park, Illinois. And once I got the rest of my credits there, I was teaching a lot of, science, but I was really in between science because a lot of people wasn't ready to deal with science. So I taught spirituality. But outside of that, that's when I was teaching like in a philosophical sense, and I always matched it up with science. But in between them, I always went for more. Anybody that knows Ngozi or study Jelani Kamara, they always been more. I was part of the Moorish Science Temple number 9. Anybody that knows about Chicago, Illinois, knows that Chicago is a Moorish city. Noble Jali's body is right there in Bell Oak Cemetery. This is a Moorish city. I was part of the what people classify as a gang, and I'm still part of it, but it's an organization. The Vice Lords itself, we have Moorish policies and Moorish laws. The Black Peace Laws of Chicago. Everybody know about Jeff Ford. Falling under the same chain of command of Moorish science, or what we know as the L. Rookin. So Moorish science or Moorish history plays a major role in this city of Chicago itself. So, the whole gateway of Ngozi coming in, I was on the Omaha squad. After the Omaha squad, I developed Team Osiris. And after Team Osiris, we created a research team. And, all we did was science there. That's all I talk about the science. Osiris itself is our solution. Our solution is revealed in science. That's what it means. And one soul entry resurrection is still another acronym for it. But I've been around for a little while, you know what I'm saying? And on the Moorish science tip, there's a lot of questions that people ask, what is Moorish science? If we study the history of Moorish science, prior before the Prophet or Noble Drew Ali giving us his form of the science, we have to take it all the way back to the actual Moors that invaded Spain or took over Spain in 711 AD. General Tariq Ibn Ziyad, and after him, Almoravid, they created the Almoravid Empire between the Niger and the Senegal and the dry area. And after that, the Almohads who lived in the Bloody Kush region that we know today as Morocco. The form of Islam that they practiced, these were Africans, and the form of Islam that they practiced was a Sufistic form of Islam. Even though at that time period, there wasn't really a complete, the book, certain rocks of the Quran was written, but you find in surahs or certain passages of the Quran that was written 20 years possibly before the book was even so-called finished, but that's another story. So, the form of Islam they dealt with, they also matched it up with their own traditional ways. So, for me, studying on the Moorish science, and when the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought it back, and a lot of people try to bash him, people don't know that Noble Drew Ali was, he played a major role, and he talked about Africa. Africa was really important to Noble Drew Ali, Amexium. That's what he talked about in the Circle 7 Quran. He talked about Amexium. He talked about, Egypt. He talked about all that, but people don't really give credit to him. They bash him. Some of the information today will be looked at as being, outdated, but the principalities of what the Prophet gave us is needed. So, we can get into, understanding more science or what it really is and what it is to me. I deal with Islam from a Sufistic perspective. I'm secular in it, but I also follow the lessons that I still deal with the Circle 7 as well. So, that's me. I'm Nick Kamara, or Ngozi.
And Ngozi, brother, let me do this real quick. Let me see if you can try to hit that line that I just gave you so we can get you in more clear, and then we're going to dig on in. Brother Sharif, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, try to hit. Yes. Try to hit that line because you're going to be more clearer to the people, and then we're going to go in, okay?
All right, brother. I'm going to call it back right now.
Okay. So, Brother Sharif.
Yes, sir.
So the name of the topic of this is the science of Moorish science. And you and I did an interview before, and you broke down what is Moorish science. And hold up.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And you broke down what is Moorish science. And when you broke it down, you were speaking that Moorish science is a body of knowledge. Can you share that with the people for me?
Sure. And this is a definition that I inherited, I guess. I mean, there's a number of ways that it can be explained, using various words, but it will connote or denote the same or similar idea. So I can't take credit for this definition. But the definition I gave was that it's a body of knowledge based on identification that tends to separate the descendants of slaves from the institution of slavery.
Right, right. That's what I was looking for. Now,
Yes,
one moment, I'm trying to get this all set up on the fly. Are you there, my brother?
yes, sir.
All right, all right. So we good now. We got Ngozi set up. We got Brother Sharif set up. So when I look at that definition, what we're trying to do is say that more science actually differentiate ourselves from a particular system, is what you're saying. Is that what it is?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I like how there was an oversimplified statement that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad of the Nation of Islam made. He said, debt is slavery. So when you owe people something, that's slavery. You know what I mean? And so we owe, presently, we suffer from not just economic debt, but cultural and spiritual, social and political as well. You know what I mean? For instance, let's deal with the social side of it. In America, what we weren't told, our people were not told, and still largely don't know today, that the American way, quote unquote, the American way, in fact, is not the quote unquote European way. The American way is that every American citizen, these groups come together from different nations and they form within American society a nation within a nation. In other words, a social group. Based on what? Based on their national identity, cultural affinity, and similar American experience. This is the American way. They come together as a national group, and then what they do is that they solve their own problems and elevate themselves socially through the American system. This is why national identity is so important within American society. Because without that, you are devoid of the ability to do what everyone else does within the American system. Hence, you do not get a chance to carve out your piece of the American pie. What we've been doing is asking others for pieces of their American pie socially. So we are in a deficit socially. This is the issue. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it. He said, those who fail to recognize the constitution of their free national government are classed as undesirables and are subject to any inferior name, mistreatment, and abuse that the citizens care to bestow upon them. But like I said, that's the part of the whole thing that we've been that we've been deprived of until the coming of Prophet Drew Ali. And that is the notion in American society that to carve your piece of American society or your piece of the American pie, you have to be a collective based on national identity. Peace.
Peace, peace. And Brother Ngozi, what we was talking about is a definition of more science. How do you see more science? Because the topic of the show, the science of more science. And then I want you to dig in deep into the science behind where we stand at in this more science paradigm, as you see it, my brother. So how do you see more science? What is that?
Well, to me, more science it's Moorish, which means, for me, my studies are dark or somebody, darker skinned, or also Westerner, people that descend from the western part of the continent of Africa. Our science, whether we deal with our old animistic systems or what we refer to as old pantheistic systems, it's what it is. Science means to know. So when you deal with more science, it's a sense of knowledge itself. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Science means to know, and when you know that you are more, you know who you are, you know where you come from, or the description that I feel, or the people say that more is, you know who you are, is the original man. If the term more, I'm just saying, based on my interpretation in my studies, if the term more means dark, based on people getting a title, or it means, let's go back to the Mali or Mauritania, Westerner. And we know that we descend from the western part of Africa, southwest and central Africa. And then it means dark. In terms science means to know. You are the original man. Homo sapien sapien developed in Africa. you know who you are, it represents originalness. It represents being natural. So more science to me is what it is. It's knowledge of self. It's knowing self. You know, the Prophet Noble talked about knowing self. And that's what it's all about. Self-awareness. That's what more science is to me.
Islam. My brother, can you take us through a journey in time real quick before the Moors entered into this American paradigm, even though we know that we were here, but I'm talking about the Moors of West Africa. What have you said about the Moors of Northwest and Southwestern shores of Africa? What are some of their greatness? What I'm trying to do is get to the people the regular common sense, unadulterated, pure truth, how the Moors have come from northwest, southwestern shores of Africa, and we find ourselves in America. Whether those that are indigenous of this continent called America or those that were brought here. However, let's start with northwest and southwestern shores of Africa. We can start in Morocco. What was Morocco before it was Morocco? And maybe you could take it from there.
Well, the term Morocco is recent. It was called Medi Kush. And in the Atlas Mountains, you had a group of African men and women called the Almohads there. The Almohads. They were Amazigh, or what we know as Berber-speaking people. And the Berbers was very advanced. I mean, in Morocco, before the Almohads, which is, see, I like to deal with the Almohads. Because when I think about the Moroccan Empire, you're talking about a collection of people. Everybody that was part of the Moroccan Empire wasn't from that country. When you talk about Morocco, under Morocco is Mauritania, and under Mauritania west is Senegal. So I like to deal with the Almohads. The Almohads is where you find a lot of your lineage at. And we're talking about the collection of Niger-Congo people and Afro-Asiatic Berber-speaking people that created the Almohads, which range between the Niger area, the Senegal area, and the Jar area of, and also of Mauritania, when you deal with Almohads and how they came into being. So when we talk about what we established, the Moors itself established a lot before, I can't talk about what they did before Spain, but because before Spain, you got to deal with when the Phoenicians came into Africa at 800 BC and amalgamated with the Moors of Tunisia. We know about the Almohads living in the Atlas Mountains, and they've been sea hopping for almost 12,000 years, because we could throw the Iberian Peninsula south. You find graves in Spain, which goes back 7,000 years, and when they tested DNA of the fossils that's in the grave, you find our markers there, the E3B branch of E1B1. We talked about that when Dr. Kittles was here. We talked about genetics, and we could have talked about that. So that's you going backwards and forward, or your ancestors, a relation to the EP2 marker. So you find them there. Later on, I could talk about, the great empire that we formed in Mali, ancient Ghana. You found the oldest pottery, one of the oldest records of pottery being discovered in Mali as early as 12,000 years. You got the Bafar population in Mauritania. If we studied the Bafars and what they was doing. Bafars, Morocco, or Medi Kush. A lot of those people in the North Atlas parts of Medi Kush were really like nomadic people. They really didn't do. They were there, but you don't find a lot of establishments or things that was more complex, like you do south of Morocco, or when you get into Mauritania, or when you get into the Tassili cave art all through the Sahara when it was green. That's where you want to get into us. That's when you really want to get into the point, because a lot of those areas in Atlas Mountains of Morocco, it really wasn't as significant as it is now. It really wasn't as important as it is now. You just had a bunch of wandering Berbers up there, not to mention a few people from the Iberian Peninsula, especially women, bringing their foreign markers over there. So you find in the Medi Kush area of Morocco, one of the oldest population of mulattoes up there. You know what I'm saying? And they're also depicted on the wall. If you ever look at how the Berbers were depicted on the wall, west of Egypt, the Tamarou, it shows how these people look. So these people that live near the Mediterranean part of North Africa have been crossbreeding with a lot of foreign people for a long time. So to me, I like to deal with the Niger-Congo or the Niger-Saharan people like the Senegalese, the Mandinka, or even the Tuareg, original Berbers that was once in Morocco before going down, before other populations kind of drove them out, and some of them wandered on their own toward Mauritania and Mali and some parts of the Niger area.
Islam, brother. Go in on that for me, my brother, because I'm learning the lesson too now. You know what I mean? I'm just the host, but I'm learning the lesson too. So, brother, you can take me where you want to take me, brother. I've been listening to you. I listened to you on the Brother Kalam show. I've listened to you on quite a few shows, brother. So I'm learning too. So, brother, see, you can take us to a journey, my brother.
What I'm saying is, like, when we deal with our people, you know, first of all, the term war, to me, it's bigger than the term Morocco. Morocco is a part of the very powerful empire. It's a country in Africa, and I debate with people all the time. People got an issue with more than Morocco. Right. And then you want to claim Egypt, and then you want to claim Israel. And to be honest with you, Morocco is Northwest Africa, and a lot of your ancestors came from Southwest Central Africa. A lot of ancestors was kidnapped from Senegal, and Senegal is south of Morocco. It's west of Mauritania. It's the island off of Mauritania. All that's connected. A lot of the people that you find in certain areas right now once was in other areas. You feel me? At one time, the original ancient Ghana was controlled by the Sounke of Mauritania. And this is a Niger Congo speaking people. They were Mendeka or Mendi. The Sounke or the Sounke group is the Mendi people. And they had trade routes between us and our Berber brothers. The Berbers came and gave us salt, and we gave them gold. It was a gold salt trade. So you find a lot of in between. So you can't have Moorish history without putting in the Niger Congo groups, because even when they went to Spain in 711 AD, these was not Berbers alone. These were also Niger Congo groups who had one common goal and was also part of their military. You know, people play games, and I think it's kind of crazy. And as light skinned or as mixed as some of the Berbers were, fraternally, they were still indigenous to Africa. However, E1B1B, haploid which is sex chromosomes. And all diploid or complex organisms have sex chromosomes. E1B1B and E1B1A are both a common split between the EP2 marker that arrived in the Horn of Africa. And once it evolved in the Horn of Africa, we went resected and we split into two different directions. One group traveled to the Sahel Belt, and at one time, this was before the early population of people that lived into West Africa was as early as 12,000 years. But before that, European populations that were living in those tropical grasslands who were already intermingling with other types of archaic humans, but that's before you got there. So when you get there around 12,000 years ago, you start to find funny fossils there. You start to find cages, not cages, but you start to find these different fossils there. The Kepians and the Tenarians, you start to find those there. You can see at one point who was who. So when the E1B1A comes in before the downstream or the subclade mutation that rolls around, which is M2 marker, you was already wandering around and you kind of depleted or called the bottleneck or reduction of the population to the early hunter-gatherers that was there. In the A and B markers, kind of took in the women and amalgamated amongst them. Other groups, which is E3B, our brethren, which was all in the E1B1A was up there too, or E1B1C, that people don't talk about, they kept going north. They kept going north towards the Mediterranean. And like I said earlier, a lot of the ones that kept going north, a lot of men travel with their women. So they kept going north. They started seeing wandering nomadic after Cro-Magnon type people, not the ones that was there 23,000 years ago, but the ones that kind of went down living in that northern district. Because at one time before the Middle Glacier period in North Africa, 40,000 years ago, the whole area was populated with nothing but, human beings. But when the Middle Glacier period kicked in, a lot of the human population went south. And this is before the Holocene Glacier period kicked in 10,000 years ago, when a lot of the people, when they started becoming Irish again, and humans started populating the area again, before the area dried out again around 5,200 years ago. 5,200 to 5,300 years ago. So you start seeing it going here and out. That's why it's important for us to study the Tassili cave art, T-A-S-I-L-I, cave art. And you start to see a lot of stuff in that Sahara. You even start to see proto-development of ancient Egyptian art there, like the deity Anubis. The oldest mummies that you found before the mummification of Kemet was the Libyan mummies, the southern Libyan mummy, which is right above Niger. It goes back 7,000 to 6,800 years before the mummification process in Egypt. So you can look up South Libyan, or what they refer to as the Black Libyan mummy. If you don't want to use that term, Libyan mummy, 6,000 to 7,000 years old. So you start to find us going all through those areas. So we going backwards and forward around. A lot of our ancestors kept going south, and they gave rise to these different language strategies. And it's a beef between languages. Afro-Asiatic and Niger Congo is related. It's some type of archaic tongue that they don't split from in that horn in East Africa. The Berenian language stratum or super language family that went into different directions. So you find this Afro-Asiatic stock arose around 18,000 years ago. The first spin-off was Proto-Omotic. Speakers started going into different directions. Now, these are all children of EP2. And for Proto-Omotic, a lot of the population kept going what we refer to as north of the Nile or migrated towards the Nile out of Ethiopia, and they kind of kept going north. As they went north, started to find them becoming around Metanetta, around 8,000. This is before the written Metanetta. You know, not the language itself. I'm talking about not the written process. You start to see them develop a proto-Metanetta tongue. The Berber language kind of develop, and it goes from that southern Egypt area, northern Sudan. It kind of goes west towards the Libyan area, and from Libya they kind of keep going west all the way till they make it to the Atlas Mountains. Another group of these Afro-Asiatic speakers around 7,000 years ago started to come to the Middle East, and this goes back to what the Prophet Ngozi talks about, Canaan land. Canaan belongs to you, and ancient Egyptians said that on the record, because the Proto-Semitic speakers migrated out of Northeast Africa and went over there. It's just that the Middle East is a zone of confluence, so you start to see them mixed with these the Inky Caucasian groups who was coming from the Taurus and Zagros Mountains or the near Caucasus area, and they started to amalgamate with these people. It kind of watered down the original Proto-Semitic language stratum. The oldest Semitic languages is in south of Yemen or Southwest Asia. When you go south, not those northern Semitic languages, but the southern Semitic languages, and you can find them stratum in Yemen. But far before that, a lot of the human population that was in the northern part of Levant, they intermingled with a lot of foreign people. And later on, you start to see the Akkadians develop, which is the oldest Semitic speakers. Then you start to see the Western Akkadian population, what we refer to as Amorites, who spoke Ugaritic. But Afro-Asiatic itself has an African tone. It's the African language style, but it intermingled with other types of people that became a hybrid or trade zigzag language. The Proto-Semitic comes out of Northeast Africa and went over there. And the original Canaanites, or the people of Canaan, or the Palestinian area, were predominantly indigenous to Northeast Africa. They were predominantly indigenous to Northeast Africa. Not to mention that the Tufian population who spoke the Stradic language strategies, and the Stradic is a sister class of Afro-Asiatic, which all comes out of the Berenian super language family. The Stradic speakers was the Tufians that migrated over there as early as 13,000 years ago out of Northeast Africa, and they left behind a lot of the markers, not just E markers, but they also had CT branches. And this is what's recently been discovered by Spencer Wells. CT branches what Euro-Asian atom or scientific atom had, which gave rise to a lot of fraternity, from haplogroup CT-M168, which gave rise to the D's and E's, and then from all the other directions, which gave rise to the IJ or HIJK, and the JK, the IJ, to the earliest J branches. A lot of the recent Semitic speakers have the recent ones, but the earliest you start to find in the Tufian population, they kind of go over there, and this is before the Proto-Semitic speakers went over there later. So that zone is an African zone, as Dr. Rick Hughes said. Africans established a lot over there. It was the Africans, or what we want to say the term more darker skinned people from Northeast Africa, that brought agriculture to the Middle East. And, it started in East Africa around Egypt somewhere. Actually, it's around the Ethiopic area. Then it goes into Egypt, and then they take it into the Middle East, and it kind of becomes more complex in the Middle East. But they were already storing barley and dealing with cuss. And then when they migrate towards the Middle East, they start dealing with the wheat, barley, and other stuff. But they was already storing barley in southern Egypt. It's record for this. So it was the Natufians that took the agriculture science into the Middle East, and they amalgamated with different groups of people, and then it became mastered in that Levant area. And this is where the Eurocentricity comes in, where they try to take or hijack what you did, or the masterization of what the Africans did, or what you cultivated in the areas. They try to take credit for that, and they try to say that agriculture started in the Middle East, but it didn't. It started in Northeast Africa. You were already dealing with grains and different things in Northeast Africa before going over there. It's just when you go over there, the presence of that European ancestors comes out of that Central Asian area. So he hijacks what you did. You also see the pictures of you as early as 12,000 years in Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. And the Prophet Ngozi talked about the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar. That Turkish area is really important. a lot of their oldest stone monuments and different things, structures is designed there. And you see the presence of an E3B carrier in that area. You know, go back to Tepe. Go look at the artwork on the wall. You see darker skinned people and you see red people. But around that Central Asian area is where that European comes from. So he's hijacking a lot of your sciences. But it was the African that brought agriculture into the Middle East. And then now they're trying to say agriculture is in more than one place. And then to a degree it did, because man has been preserving his resources to the best that he can. So, and especially when these different seasons come. So he tried to preserve what he had and watch how the season run and plant his seed to the best of his ability, whether you stand storing yams in the Niger Congo area, or whether you're dealing with the cattle as a pastoralist, going backwards and forward, or whether you're dealing with the domestication of crops and vegetation and different things. Humans been doing this for a long time, but the ones that was the masters of it was Africans, or what you want to refer to as Moors, because I don't separate it. Even the term African come from a Berber tribe, the Afri, that Scipio Africanus conquered and took on that last name and made itself African. The term African itself was a tribe of people. And this is when Hannibal, after the Punic Wars or whatever, the Berbers or the Moors that were there were referred to as the Afri tribe. You even find a word afar with the Phoenicians, which means the dust, when they settled there in 800 BC, and they talked about people of the dust, or people of the yellow, or people of gold. Their Afri group were Berber people, and that was only referred to the people that live in the Sahara area or the desert area. So if you say you're African or African American, you might as well say you're a Moorish American, because if these foreign people seen the original African, they would have called them Moor. If the term Moor means Westerner, or if it means dark, it's talking about the people that they first came in contact with. And we know for a fact that the Greeks, when they came in contact with those first Tamahu or Libyans or North Africans, they used the word Almobed, which meant dark or scorch, is in a sense of description. And we know about the Mari in Mauritania, which means Westerner. So, or in some cases, it can mean chiefly. So the term Moor is a powerful word. Separated.
Hey, brother, I'm feeling this, brother, because you dipping all in and out my research. Some of it I got, some of it I'm adding on, and some of it I'm going to check on. So, yes, sir, brother. So as over there, we're talking about Northwest Africa. How can we bring it over here? You was talking about the markings, the genetic markings or the DNA markings of our people in Africa. Has there been any research of the genetic markings in the United States as it relates to America, the indigenous people here, our people here? That you know.
Well, in the United States, the indigenous people here were Asians. You had two types of people here. You had Paleo-Mongoloid group that called the Moorish Strait, and before them, it's a possibility that the Australoid dark-skinned people were here. At one time of the period. They found the skull in Brazil, they call it Luzia, and when they measured the skull or the phenotype, they looked at it and they said, it's an Aboriginal group. They found the CM130 also among certain tribes in Brazil, and the CM130 is one of the first offshoots of M168 that a lot of Aboriginal Australians have. So you find them here. The African presence, I strongly believe, from my research, possibly came with Mansa Musa's brother in the 13th century. That's the only case. But I'm not denouncing that the African presence wasn't here.
Right.
It's just that when we look at the oldest strands, according to molecular clocks or whatever, the oldest strand markers that were here were P's and Q's paternally, and mitochondrial DNA B's and mitochondrial DNA A, and not Y chromosome A and B that come from the first population of humans that evolved in Africa paternally. I'm talking about L or L1. I'm talking about mitochondria when you see the markers that were here. But the oldest markers that you find here is PQs and CM130s. And those were really Australasians, Southeast Asians, or the Paleo-Mongoloid group, which is also dark-skinned. But it's a possibility the African presence did come here, because you can't look at the recent E1 age that's here now and say that it just came over here as slavery, because you wasn't always a slave. That's kind of racist, and that's another form of racist white supremacy, because they want you to believe that you was always a slave. Africans traveled the world like they migrated all over the world and became these other types of people. How come we couldn't do it again? So that's what I have on Asia, brother.
Oh, okay, my brother. Let me ask you this. as it relates to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali teachings and the Sufi teachings, where do you find the similarities in that?
Man, the prophet was on point. I mean,
Can you, what I want you to do, Ngozi, but my brother, excuse me, I'm sorry to cut your wisdom. What I want you to do, I want you to try to give a sound, a clear conception for our listeners, the connection, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a spiritual connection. Definitely couldn't be a carnal connection. With the science of the connection between the Sufi, as you understand it, and Moorish science, or rather Islamism, as the Prophet teaches.
Well, when you look at Moorish science, you can look at the attire, the way the Prophet, the way we wear our fez or whatever, the way our attire is. It's Sufistic, and it comes from that Turkish area. The Prophet gave a lot of respect to the Turks, and that's not a bad thing. The Turks formed one of the most organized forms of Sufism. If you study Sufism in Turkey, and you study the way Noble Drew Ali teaches, like for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the causeless cause in a circle of seven, that's true. And Sufis teach that too. But Sufis teach Allah as being a form of causality, which is based on action. And we know outside of action is cause and effect. So that's a form of Sufism. Also, when it talks about the Prophet talks about the spirit and the soul. Spirit man never dies, and then you got to come on a plane of soul. The Sufis separate the soul from the spirit as well. Spirit itself is eternal, according to the Sufis, and that eternal scientifically. I don't want to get to scientific stuff, because we're not talking about that. But from a lot of what the Prophet was saying, if you match it up with the Sufistic stuff, even when you deal with it in synagogue, it makes sense. It's just that a lot of the stuff in Sufistic Turkey is more, it's more related to the people in Turkey. Sufistic stuff in synagogue, it's Arabic influence. I think the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us a more modified version of it, and it's more beneficial for us in America, because you don't have to worry about getting involved with other cultures. We have a culture ourselves within our uniqueness and our unique struggle that we've been through that makes Sufistic Islam more beneficial for us going to the Moorish Science Temple. No need for all the spookism and all the other stuff. But sometimes Sufism can be a little spooky if you don't understand the esoteric meaning behind it. So Noble Drew Ali kind of gave it to you right then and there. He just took out all the spookism and gave it to you right then and there. That's what I like about what he did with the Circle 7 Quran and the Moorish Science Temple. So it's a more upgraded version of old Sufism. Because old Sufism can, they dance and they spiral in circles and all that. And that has a reason for it too, a deep meaning, if you deal with it esoterically. But the Prophet didn't give it to us like that. He gave it to you flat out. So you can see the ties. If you study Sufism in Turkey, you can see some of the ties between MSTA and Moorish science.
Well, I always say that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali just cut straight to the chase, and he gave us the most highest degree of Islamism. So he just cut through the chase. Ain't no need for the cultural and the custom and the traditional overtones. Cut straight to the chase. This is what it is, and that's how I see it.
I want to say, hey, you said it directly. Exactly. He did it just like that, flat out. He just cut to the chase. No need for all that other stuff. He just gave it to you for what it is. He gave you Islamism for what it really is. Absolutely, brother. I agree.
Yeah. Let me see if my brother Sharif and Neil Bay would like to chime in. Brother Sharif, are you there?
Islam, I'm here, brother man.
Come on, brother. Come on in the cipher. We talking. We going in. Brother Ngozi going in. Brother, come on, add to the cipher.
Well, I like what the brother said about in his relating, his understanding of Sufism with the Prophet's teaching. And I'm sure he knows. I'm preaching to the choir to all of you. The term Sufi comes from a root Arabic or Aramaic word suf, which relates to wool or pureness. Like pure wool. So, in principle, the term Sufi, relates to pure unblemished teaching. You know what I'm saying? Pure unblemished as in, not bound down or attached to any particular cultural trappings. Although we know that the expression of the pure faith, should come through your own cultural experience. We know that. But when it's presented, the pureness of it is presented as cultureless. This is why Islam is universal. Now, that being said, we know that the advertisement, published in the Moorish Guide in 1928, speaking of the coming availability of the Holy Quran and the Moorish Science Symbol of America speaks to that very same thing about the preparation of the Holy Quran and the Moorish Science Symbol of America was done in the spirit of ridding it of any cultural attachments. You understand what I'm saying? So that it's presented pure. What's interesting about that, as we know as Moorish Americans, is that only the last 4 chapters of that Quran talk about anything specifically Moorish. How about that? You see what I'm saying? And what gives us, in terms of the doctrine, the literature, what gives us the cultural coloring, that we can project the understanding of our Quran through is the questionnaire. That's why it's called Quran Questions for Moorish Americans. You know what I'm saying? So now, as it relates to some of the more esoteric things, man, this early today in Sunday school, we were going through some very, 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 very interesting things with the last 4 keys of the questionnaire. Whereas we ask, what are Elohim sometimes called? The answer is 7 eyes of Allah. How many days are in a circle? 7 days. How many days in a creation? 7 days. According to science, how many days are in a year? 7 days. Well, as the brother mentioned, that Sufism also teaches that man is spirit. And so if man is spirit, then man has no beginning or end himself. And we learned chapter 1, one of the first things we learned in chapter 1 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science of America is that time never was when man was not. So we start with a very high initiation in the sense that to contemplate it forces you to change your way of thinking. So those last 4 keys from 98 to 101, let's deal with 98 really quick. What does Elohim sometimes call the 7 eyes of Allah? What happens when we're dealing with topics that are considered esoteric? One of the dangers of it, as the brother pointed out, people can get spooky without the proper education, and it can lead to idolatry and other things like that, other diversions from the path. So we know that in Islam in general, that we don't make images, or we don't believe in images of Allah, like key 3. Can we see him? No. So we don't make images of Allah. So here's the interesting question that I asked the members. Why on the top of the Holy Quran, of the Divine Constitution of Bylaws, do you have the all-seeing eye? And under it says the words, our God. How do we explain that? Right? Well, key 98 is interesting because it says, what is Elohim sometimes called? The 7 eyes of Allah. The previous key says, who is Elohim? 7 creative spirits that created everything that ever was, is, and ever more to be. This is deep because you're able to look. See, this is the deep part. In religious science, and I'm saying it that way, in spiritual science, you have to have, it's just like in geometry. You're given the question and the answer. You have to show the work in how you got the answer. This is what most religious people don't have. So the ideal of being spiritual is like a nice picture on the wall, but they don't know how it was painted. They don't know how it was put together. So all they do is put it on the wall and adore it. And that's as far as it goes, you see? But the work is, how do you make the connection between yourself and the ideal that you're given, right? So the Elohim, we say, is the 7 creative spirits. That's relating to creative fate in chapter 1. Please follow me. I know a number of people that are listening are not familiar with these teachings. Please follow me. Creative fate relates to, why does it relate to the eye? Why is the eye a symbol? We find this symbol also too in ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt. Why is the eye a symbol? And how is the eye a symbol of creation? Well, we can look at ourselves on everyday mundane life to understand that. I asked one of the youth in Sunday school, I said, listen, what's your favorite subject in school? He said, gym. I said, okay. What's a hard subject in school for you? He said, social studies. I said, all right. Can you see yourself getting an A in gym all the time, straight A's? He said, yes. I said, can you see yourself getting straight A's in social studies? He paused and he said, kind of. I said, that right there, people, is the difference between him getting straight A's in gym and not getting straight A's in social studies. He can't see it clearly in social studies. In other words, what you could see in your mind's eye becomes your reality. Now, if we take that on the grander scale of Allah himself, what he sees is already created. He creates by seeing it. His sight is a projection into the soil of soul. You see what I'm saying? So that is why the eye is a very powerful symbol, and I'm using that as an example. You know, pardon the long-windedness of it, but I'm using that as an example of how the prophet's teaching conveys very, very high spiritual, scientifically spiritual ideals that other schools of thought, for instance, the Sufi tradition and other traditions around the world also teach, but they don't, as the brother Ngozi put it, it's the prophet put it in a way that he put it in a way that a fourth grader could understand it. With that, I say peace.
Peace. Hey, brother Ngozi, you there, my brother?
Yes, I'm here, brother.
Islam. Well, I always like to jump around a little bit. I would like everybody to share this. We got to have good brother Ngozi on. We got to have brother Sharif on. I would like y'all to share this and get the word out that the brother is on, because I'm about to dig deep and ask a few questions, because I know the brother's scholarship. I know where the brother can go, and the brother can go. So I want to ask him this. Sometimes, brother Ngozi, I get in a type of zone where it's the type of zone that a lot of people don't touch, but I don't mind touching. And I know that you're a warrior, you don't mind touching, but don't fret, my brother. What is the connection with the Hebrews and the Moors as it relates to, because I know you're good with the phenotype, the genome, the DNA. I've been watching you, brother. I've been keeping my eyes on you. But so how does those two relate throughout history of Africa, if you will?
Well, if you base it off, if you're talking about Canaanites and Hebrews, they pretty much the same people.
Yes, sir.
Canaanites or the Hebrews, I mean, it's a chapter in the Bible where the allegorical script, it says that thy mother is a Hittite and thy father is an Amorite.
Right.
And we know the Canaanites were Amorites. So, I mean, even the Circle 7 Quran, it talks about Joshua coming in and running out the Canaanites.
Right.
I mean, these were all the same type of people. They were all, that faith of Yahudaism or Judaism comes out of Canaanite tongue. Yahweh, the guy, Yahweh, you find it over there before Yahweh became a major figure. Before the position changed and they made him, because, the Hebrew faith is more of a henotheistic system. This is just the one God that conquered over the other gods. You even find God, Allah, in Saudi Arabia. This is all part of the Semitic tongue. They all spoke Semitic languages. They all have similarity. You even find word Allah before it's organized in the term, organized into organized religion of monotheistic Islam that we know today. Allah was the major God. He was something like Brahman in India. He was the God of rain and sky. He had no image. You got a lot of people that try to equate him with Hebel, which is the God of the moon. Allah was not the God who bawl or rebel. He wasn't that same deity. He was more equivalent to, but he was the deity of rain and sky, or Wak for the ancient people of Kush. But the outsider had taken out of the element of Kush. He was also equivalent to the God of storm and sky, which is El. So all those people are related somewhere down the line. You know what I'm saying? When you deal with the populations of how the Hebrews form and who are these Canaanite tribes. Now, when it comes to the Northeast Africans, which is the Berbers or Amazigh speaking people, paternally those people are indigenous to Northeast Africa. A lot of the Canaanites or the people of Canaan had that specific marker as well, especially the E3B1, which is one of the offshoots of the EM78 marker that kind of migrated over there and came back in. So you start to see that form. Also, a lot of you find Jews with that marker. Believe it or not, your boy Albert Einstein, he had a Y chromosome E1B1. You can look it up. Albert Einstein had Y chromosome E1B1. So you start, you got a bunch of J's over there, J1, J2, but outside of that, you find the presence of us. They're all related. So you can't really separate the two. People do it based off, what they say the Moabites did, the Canaanites did. They say with Lot and Moabite story, the Moabite myth, they try to say that the Moabites or Canaanites was cursed. They went to the land of Moab, they got kicked out, and then they went over there towards Jordan today. But when you look at the people, the Semitic speakers, they all related. They all come from the same culture. They come from the same. They did the same. They all the same type of people. When you deal with the Semitic speaking people, whether it's Ugaritic, Arabic, Hebrew, Proto-Phoenician, these people are all related somewhere down the line.
So brother, where does that put us here in what we call America? Where does that put us? Who are we according to my big brother Ngozi research? Who are we when we talk about this A1B1, C1D1, and I'm not being facetious? Who are we, my brother? And that's one thing I like to do because
I like how Prophet Ngozi said. He said northwest and southwest of Mexico. We are the Mandinka. We are the Fulani. We are the Wolof. You know what I'm saying? Those groups of Africans right there played a major role in Moorish history, or what the Moors have done. Some of them were even classified or called Moors. We also those Niger Congo speakers that come, or the Bantu speakers, because all of them are Niger Congo speakers, but we're also those Bantu speakers that come out of Central Africa, whether it's the population that came out of Angola or the groups that came out of Cameroon. Bantus played a major role. Let me tell you something. It was the Bantus who lived in Zanzibar, who the Portuguese called Moors as well. The ones that practiced Islam. The ones that spoke Swahili, they came together and, mixed the Arabic tongue with the Bantu language. They spoke Swahili. And it was those brothers in Zanzibar, those Bantu speakers who spoke Swahili, who were responsible for the Zanj population that had the revolt of the Arabic slave trade, and they fought like hell. It was also, what was the brother named? Al-Jahid, who was also a very strong important African in Islamic history of pre-Islamic, the Arabian conquest, if you want to call it, or Islamic history. Look up Al-Jahid. He was from Zanzibar, and he was a Bantu speaker, and he was from those populations as well. So who are we? We are those Niger Congo groups. We are the Mandinka. We are the Wolof. We are the Fulani. This is who a lot of us are. The first slave that was brought through Jamestown, Virginia, were Mandinka. The ones that went through Carolina, the ones that became the Geechee Gullah, they're Mandinka mixed with a few Bantu speakers from Angola, which come to Geechee Gullah and Carolina. You know what I'm saying? The Mandinka shit, down there 40 to 38% of the African population that was brought to the Americas was Mandinka. And I think people should take pride in their Mandinka culture. I mean, look, this is Mansa Musa. This is the Haruna Sanjeta Kiata, Mali today, that we see. Mali stretched, the Malian, which means hippopotamus. Mali means hippopotamus. The Malian Empire stretched from modern Mali that we see today to Guinea, to Mauritania, all the way to Senegal, on the Sanjeta Keita, and Fulani Kamara, or Fulan Kamara, where I got my name from. You know what I'm saying? So that's who we are. We are the Wolof. We are the Mandinka. And some of us are even Tariq. My grandmother was Tariq, so from the southern Algier area. So that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're from the Niger area. Some of us are also Hausa. You know what I'm saying? The Hausa groups of so-called in Chad, which is next to Cameroon. All those people are related. So that's who we are.
Islam, brother. Knowing that you have been a part of, you're still a part of Team Osiris. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's my group. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you was a part of Amen Ra Squad at some point in time. I think sometime a while ago. How is it that you next to scholars and I'm talking about respected brothers at that, and how do we? I want to say this. I try to teach an unadulterated form of Moorish science to the populace. You know what I mean? How do you teach that we are Moors? Maybe you can give us some tips on how to teach that because we are definitely Moors. You walk around with a bay, I got a bay, Sharif got a bay. How do we come across and let people know that we are Moors in such a way that is very simple and plain?
I mean, the name shows that we Moors. I like the Moorish culture. The Moors, we created, the Prophet gave us something to separate us from a lot of people. Just like the Jews created something for themselves to separate themselves from the rest of the savages in Germany. It's in your action, it's in your character. Moors are all about, it being examples of progression. A lot of the Moors, according to the we're not even, a lot of stuff that a lot of these Moorish groups are doing, it's renegadish.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Yes, sir. I'm with you on that note, my brother. But come on.
I'm gonna keep that. You know, I'm just there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of Moors is going against one another, but when we keep it from how the prophet gave it to us, you know, he gave us a certain thing. Moors carry themselves in a certain way.
That's right.
You can see the bay. I mean, when you're a bay, you're a governor. When you're an heir, you're a creator.
That's right.
We exemplify this, man. We examples of progression. We carry ourselves in a certain manner. The circle 7 is smaller than the pamphlet is. That's a dynamite right there. That's a bullet. Because it gives you all the lessons you need from how to raise family, on how you should deal with your woman, on how you should deal. You know, circle 7 is a powerful book. It gives you the understanding of higher self and lower self. You know what I'm saying? You get out of the spookism of a so-called fictitious devil, and you understand what the devil is and what it's not. And when you understand the higher self, it separates you from a lot of stuff. So what I think about what we can show through Moorish science is what the prophet gave us. The prophet lives on, man, through all of us. We all prophet. You know, the memory of him is what we keep it alive. Based on how we, conduct ourselves. You get what I'm saying? So I think it's based off the action of what the Moors is doing. The Moors did a lot of stuff for the so-called African American community in a lot of comedic groups, in a lot of other groups. I mean, they had food drives, they had newspaper books like the Nation of Islam had. A lot of the stuff that the Nation of Islam have is remnants of what they gained from the Moorish Science Temple, because they'd exist prior before. The idea of what they were doing. So, you know, that's what Moorish Science shows. And then you see the Bay. You know, we all know how governors should carry themselves if you obey. You feel me?
Yes, yeah, and with that on the Bay, you know, I hear a lot of people say, well, the Bay is a Turkish title. Y'all have a Turkish fast. What did the original Turks look like, according to your research?
Well, you know, the Turks. The original Turks, I talked about Göbekli Tepe, the proto-Turk population. A lot of the original people that was over there were dark-skinned people. You can look at that on Göbekli Tepe. But by the time the Turks come, they don't look like, you know, you and me. You know, you had the Khoja population that lived near that Caucasus area, and the Khoja was supposed to be a colony of Egyptians, according to Herodotus, who were Africans or whatever. But when you get to that area, you got a lot of people from that Georgian area. You got to remember, white skin, or so-called white skin, developed in the Central Asia area. It could have been Kazakhstan, it could have been Turkey. And that white gene, or with white mutation, I'm sorry, is sodium, potassium, calcium exchange of 5, or SLC245. And this mutation occurred around 6,000 to 12,000 years ago. Not the same thing as the OCA2 traits that evolved around 10,000 years ago when they developed blue eyes through the HERC or the HERC. But I'm talking about SLC245, which developed the pale skin, or that light skin, before even taking it into Europe. Because at one time, the Europeans were darker skin, they were hunter-gatherers. But when people with SLC245 took it up there, probably from those first farmers that went there from out of Central Asia, and that Turkish area, and they went up there, it kind of gave those people that white gene, and it spread. And also the other population that was coming from the Georgian area. Then we got the Yemenite populations, which were responsible for giving Europeans the Indo-European language stratum that's hovered all through Europe today. Because you got different populations of Europeans, it's not the same. But when it comes to Turks, they look like, you know, how a lot of the modern Turks look. I mean, a lot of those bad mutations started there. But you did have in Göbekli Tepe a dark-skinned population, and you also have remnants of that paternal marker in about 15 to 13% of the Turkish population. The E1B1 marker, it's there, which shows the presence of you there. It's just that these people were amalgamating or breeding with these foreign women, because a lot of men that migrate or travel with women. So when they go into certain areas, they start breeding with other people. So I really think it's based off of the culture that came out. And I think when the prophet told us that the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, he was recognizing the presence of that of us that was there, not the population or the presence of us that migrated there. Remember, it was you that gave birth to agriculture and science, and you traveled and took a lot of this stuff to certain areas where other people wasn't really doing it that good, or they did have it, but you helped kind of like modify it and make it better. You know what I'm saying? So yes. I think he was just speaking on behalf of the human population that migrated to different directions, which was us, and went there. Not what these people, you know, later on mutated and became.
Brother, you gonna help me. I'm gonna learn today. You gonna help me today, brother. How do we get all of these Moors or so-called dark-skinned, dark olive faces on all of these coats of arms in Europe, brother? Can you help me with that? Can you help me and the family with that one, brother?
A lot of those, the ones that we see, the pictures of the Moors, a lot of those are those Senegalese. Even John Henry Clark talked about it. You know, he had a Senegalese population up there first. Even though you Berbers, a lot of Berbers were darker skin and a lot of them were lighter skin. But remember, a lot of those Moors in the military were of Senegalese descent. They were one-offs. And they fought like hell. You know what I'm saying? They fought like hell. So, you know, this is you. Again, this is part of that Niger Congo group. And you also have, you know, this is the description of what you see. So when we look at most of those darker skinned Moors up there, a lot of those people are either Haratsins. And you know, some people talk about the Haratsins being a slave population of Berbers, but then you also have history of the Haratsins being there prior before that were darker skinned, a Proto-Tariq group that were there prior before the Senegalese or the different people that was imported. Because I don't like that idea where people try to make everybody slaves. That's bull crap. So a lot of those Moors, even the Berbers, a lot of Berbers had Fulani mothers. And you're not really seeing true depictions of these people. So when you look at these people, you're seeing us. You're seeing those Senegalese men. You're seeing those darker skinned Tariq Berber type people. Outside of the lighten up of what they're doing to a lot of the Berbers, they make a lot of them lighten up. But again, even the lighter ones, they have paternally E1B1 marker and it's still African, regardless of what they look like. You know, that's why in some Moorish groups, you have a lot of Hispanic people in Chicago right now. It's a little small Moorish science group. You know, you got a lot of Hispanic people that's becoming Moorish Americans with the African American population. They becoming Moorish Americans together. And then when you look at the Spanish, according to the Spaniards that invaded, we know that those Spaniards that invaded, a lot of those were offshoots and descendants of Berber men any damn way. So now they found a lot of the paternal white DNA of a lot of Spaniards, even in Spain, not just the Puerto Rican, or not just the, you know, Puerto Ricans is an influence between the Taino, the Spaniards, and some sub-Saharan Africans that they brought over here. But even within the Spanish or the Spaniard paternal lineage, at a decent percentage, paternally they have Berber or Northeast African ancestry. And you find an E1B1 marker, specifically E1B1B. It's there. So.
Excellent, brother. Excellent. I was going there because I'm looking at, like, I'm going to tell you, I am so pro-Drew Ali, it don't make sense. I mean, I'm telling you, I guess it do make sense some kind of way. But I always wondered, like when we look at the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, and a lot of people would say, quote unquote, and Moors, don't get all bent out of shape because I use the term black. This is what they say. You know how people do. Oh, you said black, whatever. They say the ancient Greeks were black, or the ancient Greeks were from the inhabitants of Africa. I guess that'd be a better way to put it. Brother, what have you to say about that? About the ancient Greeks, because when I see these fraternities stomping around and now they becoming fruitcake-ish, if you follow what I'm saying, they all over the place with this stuff. Who were the original Greeks, and how do we can we verify that?
I mean, yeah, a group of beginners, Black Athena. Also, scientifically, through a meta-analysis, they discovered that a lot of those Greeks have Ethiopian immunities, or HLAs, hemoleucoantigens, which is responsible for your immune system. They found a sub-Saharan African, some of them have sub-Saharan African traits, not to mention the sickle cell trait is there. You only develop sickle cell to fight out malaria. That's part of evolution. Not to mention that 26% of the men have that same marker that I'm going to say again. So if you look up, when you get a chance, get on the computer later on, look up Greeks have Ethiopian HLAs, or Greeks have Ethiopian immune system, and it'll pop up and you can read it. You can see it. You'll be like, wow. So yes, it definitely shows African presence. You also find in ancient Egypt, in the 18th dynasty, Athenian population, or the Minoan population had an African presence before the other Greeks came in from other areas, the Celtic areas and different zones, and kind of amalgamated amongst them, or intermingled or mixed with them when you study the Greeks. But yes, there is a so-called Moorish or African, because I don't separate the word African from Moor, I'm talking about African regardless. There is an African presence there. You can look into this, you can see it definitely is. It definitely is. This is before, you know, the Ethiopic and all the little descriptions that they find. It was an African presence there. But in the Aegean Sea area. Yes, it was.
Brother, what gets me is that in my research, I've noticed that everywhere you look, even in Europe, there's our presence. Now, either I'm losing my mind or something is just bending towards what I want to see, or this is actual fact. And I'm saying this for those who are viewing, those who that don't really understand that we have been to every corner of the globe. But now it seems like we are caroused in little cities. We are caroused on islands. We're caroused in little populations. And they call them little black population, or the hood, or the inner city, or the urban center, and all of that stuff. But it seems to me that we have been around the globe before the European even thought about leaving his front yard of the cave. Why is this so hidden?
They gotta do that. I mean, you're great. You're great. Africans have the highest level of heterozygosity. It's a lot of stuff about you, man. You know, the energy of the Africans, between the African man and the African woman, or the Moorish man and the Moorish woman. You did a lot of stuff on this earth. If it wasn't, if science would not exist. Science would not exist without the presence of the African, period. Europeans came into this stuff later. So, they have to hide you. They have to hide you and keep other people down to make themselves look up. They play with the fossils, they play with DNA, but they do play with DNA too. And Dr. Rick Kittles was talking about that when we was on here, and they was talking about certain snips that's being like kind of taunted with. They playing with it. But you're great. They already tried to put out there in a kindly way that the white or pale gene or pale skin that you see is recent, as early as 6,000 to 8,000 years old. They put it out there in a nice way. It's a recent mutation. You get what I'm saying? And they turn around. Then you start to see how empty they really are, how they really don't got no history like that. You know what I'm saying? They were doing certain things, but it wasn't like how you was doing it. So the whole goal is to keep you down. Even with our Aborigine cousins or with our paleo-mongoloid groups. And when I say paleo-mongoloid, I want people to understand these are not white people. These are brown-skinned people. You know what I'm saying? They practice animistic systems. They practice a lot of the same animistic ancestral systems that we practiced when we first developed the continent of Africa and migrated out. So I really don't separate them from us either, because it was the culture and the way they did things. You can see the similarity between the Native American culturally and the Nigerian or the Yoruba, the way they deal with their rituals and different things. So I'm not even going to go there. But what I'm saying is that why wouldn't they deny you? You were great. Your face was everywhere. You did everything. You cultivated most of the science and technology. And if your presence wasn't there, they wouldn't have anything. And some of your paternal lineage is inside of them. Hitler Y chromosome was E1B1. I'm not playing with this, but you guys can look this up. Albert Einstein Y chromosome was E1B1. So what I'm saying is, man, that E1B1 marker or that E marker is a mighty snip, bro. It's a mighty. You just follow it. So of course they're gonna try to keep you down. Look at you.
Yeah. Hey, brother, I'm with you on it. I'm with you, brother. Let me ask you a question. You say that, okay, so some of us come from the Mandinka, the Fulani, the Wolof. So
you look Fulani. I was looking at you phenotypically. You asked the question the other day, but we got off the phone.
Right.
But you look Fula. Looking at you phenotypically, you look Fulani.
Well, I'm going right. Well, Dr. Rick Kittles, he's supposed to be expecting an email from me, because I'm going to get him to check me out, because I got to check this thing out, see what's going on. So you say I look Fulani, and my big brother say that I got to look up the Fulani. I'm going to hold on to that till I find something else. So if I look Fulani, why would I be a Moorish American and not a Fulani American, or a Wolof or Mandinka? Why Moorish?
Those groups were part of the Moorish Empire.
Woo! Say it one more time, brother. Brother, that was a loaded question, bro. That was loaded. That was loaded. Go ahead and bust the gun again.
Those people played a major role in the Moorish Empire. It wasn't just, brothers, yeah, but at the end of the day, you still had a Mandinka presence there. You still had a Fulani presence there. You still had a Wolof presence there. They played a role in the Moorish Empire. So I think it's good that people are calling themselves Moorish Americans. Again, what Ngozi Ali did was great. It's just like what the Jews did. They created identity for themselves because some of them, not even all of them, because we know that they're not the original Semitic speakers. Only a few of them got indigenous Semitic markers. Certain snips that Semitic people have. A lot of those people are converts, but based off that the small group that carried a specific marker, they converted a lot of the population, especially they women. And these people are calling themselves so-called Jews. They call themselves Jews, and they got an identity for themselves. They separate themselves from the rest of the Germans. So what I'm saying is, and that's just based on some of the original Semitic lineage or people that migrated from that area that went there. So what I'm saying is that I think what Noble Ali did was good. We are not like, when you're Moorish American, we don't carry ourselves like a lot of these people. We don't conduct ourselves like a lot of people. And I'm not trying to be funny. You have to do that, especially in today's time. Separation always exists. That's what people don't understand. We want to romanticize human history, like everything was kumbaya, all the Africans was this and that. No, that's bullcrap. Separation has always existed in human development. You always had tribalism. You always had difference. So in order for us to survive, you have to learn to separate yourself. So what Noble Ali did was powerful, and this is what makes him popular, the messenger. He gave you identity. He gave you nationality. He gave you a culture. He gave you everything that you need, you know what I'm saying, to sustain yourself. And if you try to go outside of the element and intermingle with certain groups that attacks the Moors, it's problematic. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir. I'm in typing, brother, and I'm just looking to see if anybody have any questions for you, my brother. But you're free to, brother, to build as you may. Let me type, brother. Maybe you can share something with us of your latest discovery, because I know you're always in the books. And you're always on the cutting edge of research. So I'm gonna see if anybody have any questions, and you just fill us in.
Well, when you get a chance, I want you to look up HLA genes. I want the world to look this up. HLA genes in Macedonia and the sub-Saharan origins of the Greeks. And you'll start to look up the immunologist by the name of Ernest Villenina. When you get a chance to look them up, and I can spell it, it's ARNAIZ. VILLENA, and they discovered the alleles within the Greek population. Matter of fact, I can see if I can read a few of it, the abstract of it. It says right here, it says HLA, which is human leukoantigens. It says HLA alleles have been determined in individuals from the Republic of Macedonia by a DNA type and the sequences HLA and B and BR and DQ. HLA frequencies also extended to haplotypes that has been determined of the results that compared to the Mediterranean, particularly with the neighboring Greeks. The genetic distances also in the neighboring join also shows correspondence analysis have been performed by the following conclusion that has been reached. You know what I'm saying? Macedonians belong to an older Mediterranean substratum like the Iberians, including the Basques from North Africa, Italians and French, and Cretans, and Lebanese and Turks, and Anatolians. We talked about the Turks. Macedonians are not related to geographically close Greeks, who do belong to the older Mediterranean substratum. Greeks are found to have a substratum related to sub-Saharan Ethiopian people, which separate them from the Mediterranean groups. Both Greeks and Ethiopians share quality-specific BR-B1 alleles, which set to 0305, 0307, 0411, 0413, 0416, 0417, 0420. Genetic distances are closer between the Greeks and Ethiopian sub-Saharan groups than any Mediterranean group. Finally, Greek clusters with Ethiopian sub-Saharan and both neighbor joining diagrams, corresponding analysis. The time period relationship might have occurred in ancient and uncertain, but might be related to the displacement of Egyptian Ethiopian people living in Pharaonic Egypt. So that's the article right there. When you guys get a chance to measure the HLA or human leukoantigen, that's something that's important. And that's what I want to put out there. That goes to the Greek question, brother.
All right, my brother. So I got a brother asking me, my good brother, War Ready. He been with me from the beginning on this, man. I think War Ready was ready to go to war with me one time when I started this channel. But nevertheless, now, I don't know if that's true or not. But the brother been rolling with me for a minute. He asked the question, what other nation of peoples share close DNA to the Moors?
That's a good question. He said, what other nation of people share close DNA to the Moors?
Yeah. What other nations, class?
A lot of Sicilians have paternally Moorish Y chromosomes. Who else? Italians, Greeks. You were there. That's why they got a lot of your DNA. Italians, Greeks. Who else? Turks. We talked about the Turks. They were there. Italians, Greeks, Romans. A lot of them have your paternal markers. There's a few groups that have Moorish ancestry. A few groups. Now, because when I say more, again, you got Niger Congo speakers, and you have the Afro-Asiatic Tamazigh or Amazigh speakers that we know as Berber.
Right.
Paternally, these people are related. I mean, the Berber is no different than the ancient Egyptian population paternally. I mean, you really can't separate it. They're all the same. So the Egyptians spoke an Afro-Asiatic language, so did the Berbers, But you also find Niger-Saharan, which later on became Niger-Congo, undertones within the Egyptian language stratum. So some people like to say Egyptians spoke a Niger-Congo language or whatever, which I don't agree with, but you find certain stratums or certain languages, certain words that's similar, because of loan words, ball words, and a lot of these people were in and out of that Sahara. It was a zone between East and West Africa going backwards and forth for a long time. So outside of the continent of Africa, you find a lot of people in Southern Europe with a lot of African genetic markers or African DNA.
All right, so we got another question. Another brother. Let me see if I can get his name real quick. I think his name is Abdul Bey. Abdul say, ask the brother to speak on Jesus. I don't know what that means, brother. This our family. They just need to know something. They need to know something. We need to tell them something.
What do you mean about it? Like in the sense of what? Did he exist historically or what?
I'm not sure. Maybe he heard you. Let's go to the next question. Clarify your question, Abdul Bey, and we'll get back to that. With that, we got our good brother Ishmael Bey. Islam, peace and love, family. He said, are the Moors genetically, were the Moors genetically in ancient Egypt?
I mean, the ancient Egyptians to me was Moors.
That's right. Bang, bang. Another loaded question.
But if you're talking about the Berber type, the Tamaru, or the Niger Congo to Hindu, which is the darker skinned Libyans that they depicted from northern Niger, the southern Libyans or the Niger Congo group, yeah. But all the people Moors, all of them, the Egyptians, all of them Moors,
Yeah. Because we had this thing going on back in April. It was this old little thing. It was a conversation. Everybody went to New York and they were saying this old stuff, and the Kemetic said this and the Moors said this, and even on other people's platform, it was scholars that came up and said that the Moors are the Cometians and the Cometians are the Moors. Yeah, I mean bona fide scholars, not no corner store bodega scholars, bona fide scholars. And so to hear that is a beautiful thing, because I'm pretty sure that people know Ngozi scholarship is on point. Let me see what we have next. Somebody say the next one was. All right, let's touch on it. We got about 20 more minutes. Let's touch on the Jesus thing. What have you to say about Jesus? All we can say is, because the prophet Ali said he is of the ancient Canaanite and the ancient Moabite descendants of the inhabitants of Africa.
Well, when it comes to Prophet Yahshua or Prophet Jesus, as we said in the Quran, or Prophet Jesus or whatever, it's some points of them is allegorical and exaggerated. There is some scholars that believe that he exists historically. Me personally, I do believe that a man named Yahshua ben Yosef exists historically. I believe he was murdered. I believe that a lot of the stuff, I think he was something like a righteous teacher, something like Dr. Martin Luther King or whatever. But a lot of the stuff that you see is exaggerated. It's allegorical. And the most important thing about Prophet Jesus, whether he exists or not, is the principles and the lessons that you learn from him.
Yes, sir.
The story he's an example, and I think that we need to respect the examples that come out of it. And we know that the Romans used their version of Jesus to enslave people. But Jesus exists, or the story exists before the Romans, whether it was biblical or not. You had people talking about this character before the Romans had their version of it and created their version. You had the Coptic version. The oldest church was in Armenia. The second oldest church was in Ethiopia. We know that Prometheus gave it to King Azana, his form of Christianity, and he was supposed to be a Syro-Phoenician individual who gave it to King Azana of Abyssinia, Ethiopia. But El Habasha at the time, when they called it that, we don't want to use Ethiopia, we can say El Habasha, which is one of the original names, which is a perverted, the perversion of it is Abyssinia. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's the example that you learn in the principality of what we learn from the character of Jesus or Justice. But the Romans did have a corrupt version of the character. They polluted the character and made him something totally different than what he's not. The Roman Catholic Church. Yes, they did.
Yes,
So,
yes, bro.
Some aspects of it is allegorical. Some of it is a conglomeration of older myths. You know, you can see it in there. But there is evidence. Matter of fact, it was on Live Science recently. They proclaimed they found the tomb of the historical Jesus. You know, the historical guy was just a regular Yehuda, Yehudish, priest, a Jewish priest. I don't want to say the word Jew, but I'm saying that's what he was, and he was murdered. And he probably was a righteous teacher historically, and whoever he was, for them to make him an important figure like that, to even exaggerate his character, he had to be a decent human being walking around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, now the questions want to fly in. They say, as Brother Nazi, is the Arabians phenotypically and or genetically resemble the Baha type people, B-E-J-A? I guess they were Baha. What's that?
Well, the original Arabians were, you can find a remnants of the original Arabians. Arabians were really more related genetically to two groups, East African, and they also were related to Dravidian type people. You had those type of Vidori populations that lived there. The remnants or the skeleton of those people are the Bahiri population and the Arabs that live in the Socotra Islands. If you look up Arabs in the Socotra Islands, you're going to see a real Arab. The Arabs that you see today, which is mixed with a lot of different groups from the Georgian area, you got to remember when the Arabs hit the Arabian conquest or Islamic conquest, those Arabs enslaved a lot of people. They just wasn't enslaving Africans. I want people to get out of that, thinking that the only role you play was a slave. That's bullcrap. Arabs enslaved everybody, including other Arabian tribes. And they had a lot of people that they were kidnapping from the Georgian area. So a lot of the Arabs that you see today with the color skin are crossbreed between Turks, Persians, which are Indo-European speaking people that remember. That's where the SLC-245 mutation evolved and became. It came in that Central Asian area. So a lot of those people carry those traits from the mothers that was being imported and the different people that they were bringing in. And then later on taking on the northern culture. Even when you study the Arabic language, it's a crossbreed between Northern Semitic and Southern Semitic. So the original Arabs themselves look like the people of Socotra Islands, or they look like people of India.
Islam. Hey, brother, this one I like. My brother War Ready again. He said, I've heard white people aren't even human. Not going to say who said that, but my father and my uncle, which is his brother, said they got this theory that the European came from the moon. I hope my father watching right now, because I said, brother, I tell my father all the time, I said, where them Europeans come from? He said, them MFers came from the moon.
We all should feel like that for what they did. They're pretty evil, raggedy ass people. I don't blame them, but the European is a human being. He's just a human being. He has deleted genes. He's a downgrade. He's a mutant. He's a hybrid as well. He has hybrid ancestry as well. You have to understand, there was a human population of people that migrated out of Africa around 60,000 years ago. And around 60,000 years ago, when people migrated out of the continent, some of these people started crossbreeding with Neanderthal that migrated in certain parts of Israel as early as 50,000 years ago. But that's not what's responsible for their white skin. White skin came much later. So they crossbreed with Neanderthals around 50,000 years ago, and Neanderthals are archaic humans. They're not modern humans. Neanderthals evolved around 400,000 years ago, and they came from a group of hominid, which was called Homo heidelbergensis. Homo heidelbergensis leaves out of Africa, migrate towards those areas of what we refer to as Germany. And that's the first place they found the Neanderthal, or his fossils, is in the Neanderthal Valley in Germany. even though Neanderthals exist all through Iraq and so-called Middle East and all through Central Asia and all those areas, but this is the first place they discovered the fossils at. So he evolved into Neanderthal around 400,000 years ago, and a lot of them during the time when certain glacier changes was going on. A lot of those people found their way back into so-called the Middle East. When modern humans migrate out of Africa, we meet up with these things, and people will say, well, what makes you think an African to do something like that? What makes you think an original man to do something like that? People do a whole lot of strange shit if the woman not around. They got a shortage on women. I mean, think about it. You got guys that's in jail that's been in there for 30, 40, 50 years. You got a prison guard that look like Roseanne. If they have the opportunity, if this woman tried to do something to them sexually and they have the opportunity to do something with her, they don't give a care about what she looks like. It's a woman. That's how they see it. We don't know what these people was thinking when they came in contact with Neanderthal. We don't know what was going on in the geographical location and what was going on with the environment at this time. You find human beings doing all types of strange stuff. But I can tell you this, when they started doing it, they lost their goddamn mind. outside of that, when they migrate towards, you find them and you find remnants of traits of this within the white people's immune system, or HLAs. The immune system shows the Neanderthal traits. Also, in their skin, they have a different type of collagen in their skin. It's a different texture compared to Africans or indigenous people. Also, and this is at the demi level or the subclade level. For some people, and Sister Jackie thought this was presence. I want to give her credit. Sister Jackie talked about this. We had private conversations, and she called it. She's affiliated with Armor Rock Squad, but she's just been around a long time. And she brought it. We talked about it, and scientifically, science has always thought it was one human race, and it is. But at the end of the day, she said that there's still sub, and scientists try to come up that sub word. Sub means below or under. And she tried to present the idea of it being they were being subhumans. They were different subhumans, and people are different subhumans. I said variation. I feel more comfortable saying variation of the same species, which is Homo sapiens sapien. And yet all changes at the small underlevel or sub-level or below level, at the demi level. And you can see this in their immune system, and you can see this also at the level of creatine in their skin. And these differences that you can definitely see. And also, you can't give a white person, being of sub-Saharan African descent, you can't give them a bone marrow transfusion because they develop in Arctic areas and you develop in tropical areas. So you have tropical limb proportions, they have Arctic limb proportions. Marrow is different. You understand? It won't match. So you find those differences in between. But who they are a group of people that migrated out of Africa, spent time in Central Asia, cross-breed with Neanderthals, and then later on out of Central Asia, they started making it into Europe around 40,000 years ago. And then even 40,000 years ago, when they make it into Europe, a lot of those early populations that survived, they were also darker skinned. They wasn't white yet. And then later on, you start to get the Cro-Magnon population that comes out of Central Asia as well. Cro-Magnon people migrate there around 22,000 years ago. Middle Glacier period kicks in around 40,000 years ago. And it was fucked up. Cro-Magnon people believe they survived to the best of their ability, but they kind of died out. Then later on, you start to get another population, the farmers that came from the Middle East around 8,000 years ago into Southern Europe. And then later on, you get the Yemenaya tribe, which came from the Russian area, which migrated over there and gave them a lot of, they were responsible for the Indo-European language stratum. But who they are, they're Homo sapiens sapiens, just like you. They're just mutants. They have recent mutations outside of the mutations that we went through to become what we became, but they have more recent mutations. And the SLC245 that I talked about, which is sodium, potassium, calcium exchange of 55, was a downgrade of the 111 amino acid. It was depletion of the 111 amino acid, and it changed the position. And so the way their melanin content was supposed to come out, because you have uromelanin, neuromelanin, and pheomelanin. Darker skinned people have uromelanin. Neuromelanin is what we have in our brain, classified as gray matter. Pheomelanin is red pigment that we know as spurs. So the way the melanin content was supposed to come out through the top layer of the skin, which is epidermis, you got epidermis, you have epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. And the way it was supposed to come out of the top layer of the skin of the epidermis, it didn't respond properly. So we have this depletion because of the position of the 111 amino acid occurred. These people developed fair skin. And that mutation occurred around 6 to 7, possibly 8,000 years ago. They tried to stretch it to 12,000, but now they recently came out and said, no, it was 8,000 to 6,000 years ago. So what you're looking at is a recent mutation of Homo sapiens sapien. That's what they are.
Well,
a lot of humans.
Excellent, brother. Well, I hope my father listens. Pop, I hope you're listening. The people not from the moon, man. Stop playing. My father, he gonna get on me tomorrow if he watching tonight. I'm telling you, he gonna call me first thing in the morning and say, I don't care what you say. Them MFers are from the moon. That's how my father talk. Praise the Lord.
Hey, I don't blame them. Mentally, they are faced with that. They're nuts. Hey, I'm with them. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, brother. So another brother asked real quick as we wrapping it up, because I sit down at 10. But bro, I appreciate you so much. You know we can talk forever. You know we can. But another brother asked, said, can you what and the scroll went up, it's gone now. But I know it said is the land okay, two good questions. Is the land of Mu real? Brother Choo, bro, can I get some dramatics or anything? No. That's that Drew Ali in you. Straight to the point. No. the land of Mu.
So we gotta watch a lot of stuff, man, that's being presented. No, Mu is not real.
Land of Mu. bro, you know, brother's gonna be mad at you tomorrow talking about that land ain't real. You know that, right?
Hey, man, I gotta give it to I'm a rock father, brother Ishmael Bey. You know, he called the grandson of the guy who created the land of Mu thing. And, you know, even he said that the Rock Squad, he got the video. He said, you know, it's granddaddy made it up. It wasn't real.
This is crazy. And thousands of people will argue with you on this stuff.
Hey, the source said it wasn't real. So if the source said it ain't real, I got to run with reality. You know what I'm saying?
All right. How about this one, brother? Somebody said the land of who? Randall Anderson Bay. It's a degree out here talking the land of Mu, but it ain't real, so don't waste time. Anyway, last but not least, this gonna be the final question, family. It's 9:55. Hopefully y'all can share this. I'm gonna definitely get my brother back because I enjoyed this, especially the question round. I definitely enjoy. Brother, you are very knowledgeable. And I tell you, I do make this easy. And I think I told you that before. You and the other brother. I think they Kimsu. Is that his name? Kansu. I'm sorry, my brother Kansu. Shout out to my brother Kansu. Because he next coming out. He next gonna get that call from me so we can get busy. Absolutely. Because it's gonna take all of us to teach our people, not one block in a box doctrine. I'm gonna say it again. It's not gonna take one block in a box doctrine to get us up out here. Them people use a whole bunch of stuff on us. And we're going to need a whole bunch of stuff to get up out here. But I think we use the science of the Moors as taught by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That's a great roadmap to get us up out of here. But one other question, somebody asked about, what about the tribe of Shabazz? Now, that's a touchy one.
Well, the term Shabazz is Persian. You can look it up. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful with that. I mean, I respect what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Farah Muhammad was trying to do. It takes a spell to break a spell. They was talking about a tribe of Asiatics who came out of Asia, went into Africa, went into the steamy jungles, and our head texture got thicker, and our eyebrows were supposed to match our hair. But in truth, there is no tribe of Shabazz. I mean, it's a Persian title, but Shabazz symbol, or the emblem of it, is the symbol of Haru, which is the Hulk. Or some people say Falcon or Hawk, which represents the sun. So when we break it down esoterically, the tribe of Shabazz, and it's symbol of the sun, and the tribe of Haru, if you want to equate that, relates to anybody of equatorial human descent, which is so-called black people. You know, because the symbol, we are children of the sun. You can look at us and tell the way your body, the way your melanin responds to the sun. You only got melanin to protect your folate. You get what I'm saying? And your melanin is it's a blessing. So anybody of deeper melanin content, darker melanin content, esoterically speaking, is Shabazz, and that's also equivalent to Haru. But the title Shabazz itself is Persian. You can look it up. Look up Shabazz, and you'll see where it comes from. But remember, the Persians learned from the Syrians. The Syrians learned from the Nubians that ruled Kemet, and the Nubians dealt with the Egyptians. So when we go all the way down the line, it's going to all go back to Kemet anyway. All these people were inspired by Kemet. That's right.
Absolutely. And I try to break that down a lot. How the prophet said we would give permission from the pharaohs of Egypt, the prophet was making that connection right there, you know, to inhabit the northwest and southwestern shores of Africa. The prophet always tried to make that connection, you know, even from when you see the card, the Egyptian adapt student, and you see the feather, and you know, some brothers would say that's the Egyptian geese feather and his turban. So I think the prophet always tried to make that connection that we are one, and all those who want about this division stuff is the ones that are the real agents. Anybody who want division, that's the real agent. I'm telling you now, it don't make no sense. We in this situation together. We in this pot together, you know. So last question, my brother. I know I said last question. Let's make this the last one, and then you can close it out for me. They asked me. Now, I hope this ain't getting silly. What about the mothership?
It's fake. Ain't no such thing as no mothership. You ask them somewhere they was in slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It came down to do anything. So no, I mean, if you deal with esoterically, again, in the sense of mind, sky and mind is equivalent to one another. So esoterically, yeah, but a literal mothership, no. Nothing's coming to save you. Prophet told us we got to save ourselves. It's about self. That's why you got to know yourself. So there's nothing coming to save you from anything. Only you from your own ignorance.
Oh man. And with that, brother, I'm not gonna let them run me down with a bunch of more crazy. No, I'm not y'all question. But to me, I'm laughing because I used to be thinking like when the brother told me he was taken up into the mothership, and then he spoke with this person, and this person said that, and the leadership gained a little bit more credibility. Anybody who can see what I'm talking about, let you see. And let those hear who hear. And I was sitting back saying, what? We then went straight from one psychosis and getting put into another one.
It's dangerous, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything you want to say in closing, brother? I think the people enjoyed the show. They say, great show, brothers. And yes, great show. Everybody enjoyed the show, brother. And I want to say, brother, you know I want to offer you back on the show. You know that, right?
Yo, yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. And yeah, I'm willing to come back, man. And I just want to say, man, big up to Team Osiris, man. We on our horizon. Thank you, brother. But thank you, man, to Aqua. This is really important, man. I thank you for allowing me to come on. Bill, peace and love to my brother Sharif Bey. I want to say another brother that people should get hip to, man, is my brother Gullah Geechee. The whole Team Osiris is equipped. Well,
that's what I'm about to do. You're moving ahead of me. I would like to invite Team Osiris, the whole Team Osiris, on the show. Not this, maybe next Sunday. Not this, that next Sunday. If you can get it together and make it work, hit me up. Let me know. I would like to discuss a topic, and let's get the whole Team Osiris on the panel, on the panel live stream, and let's build it. Let's build.
Man, that's the deal, brother. Islam, I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
So
thank y'all.
So it's up to you now to get them together. If we can't do it this Sunday, and everybody got to arrange their schedule, we can do it the following Sunday around. I mean, you know, it's Sunday now, but you know, whatever the case may be, all you got to do is let me know. But I'm gonna stay on your heels anyway, because I'm a servant of the people, and I want the people to get this information. And I can tell you are the same as I am, due to the fact that when I reached out to you, Brother Ish reached out to you, it was like, no question, let's do it. So we just need to get this information to the people, and from this information, hopefully it inspire them to get with me and start building, to get with you and start building, to get with Ish and start building, so we can start building this Moorish paradigm in real time. You know, we need to start building. I think, but the information is empowering. So we need to get those with sound information, such as yourself on this show, such as Ali's Men. You know, we need to get everybody to have sound information on this show to dispense it to the people, so they can be able to separate. And then my brother goes, then I don't have to go back and forth with pseudos. I don't have to, because the truth is going to set yourself apart.
That's right.
You feel me? Yeah, I would never have to go back and forth, as long as I can get sound information from sound thinking brothers on this platform. I ain't got to go with the pseudo. I ain't got to argue with you no more. And so that's what we build into. Any closing words, my brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I appreciate you, man. Power, man. Peace, love, and power to the whole family out there, man. And I don't want to separate, again, you can't separate Moorish science Kemet, Phoenician, all that stuff, the Yoruba, all that stuff is part of Moorish science. Seriously.
Yes.
Just deal with it. So I just want to let people know that, yo. This is top of the chance. For people out there that talk crazy and they out here trying to assassinate, they don't even, the prophet did more in his finger than half of these people. So I just want people to know that half of these people, they can't even get 10 people together. You know what I'm saying? They can't get 10 people together to help them do anything. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if you can't do what he did, or you can't even do what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did, or even what Farrakhan's doing, people talk bad about him, but you can't establish nothing like these people. So,
yes.
I mean, it's hard for me to take people serious that they ain't got organization or structure for themselves. Seriously.
Yes, yes, absolutely, right, brother. And again, thanks again. I'm going to be hitting your inbox, and then we're going to set this up for the next show. The whole team Osiris here on Moorish World TV. Thank you, my brother. Peace and love. So, family, there it is. We're going to bring Team Osiris, but before we do that, we bring Team Osiris. I got to get, let me ask y'all something. Can y'all work with me real quick before I go out? I want to ask, I want to get my brother Tunica Ill on this show by himself. What y'all think about Tunica Ill by himself? Y'all ever heard Tunica Ill? Press 1. Tunica Ill by himself. We got to get Tunica. If y'all ever heard Tunica Ill, then I'm going to get him up anywhere. Press 1, Tunica Ill. We got to get Tunica Ill. Because when I was listening to the brother, and he was going in flawlessly, that's how my brother Tunica Ill go in flawlessly. That's how my brother Sharif go in flawlessly. There we go. We got them ones. We got them ones. Tunica Ill coming up on this show. Tunica Ill coming up on this show. Matter of fact, Tunica Ill coming up on this show. Hold up. Let me see if I can try something real quick. Let me try something real quick. Hold up, fam. We're gonna do this live. We're gonna do this live. Let me see if we're gonna do this live real quick, fam. Let's see if I can do it. We're gonna do this. Let me see if I can pull it off. I'm gonna try to pull it off, fam. Let's try to pull it off. Now, we're gonna pull it off. We're gonna try to pull it off, family. He act like he eating dinner or something. I know he is. I know he is. Yeah, he act like he eating dinner. But Tunica Ill, we get you on this show. We get them on this show because this brother got some information, and we're gonna get him on this show. Yeah. He ain't send me the voicemail, but he might call me back later. But anyway, I wanted to get him live, and we're gonna make him convict himself and get him on this show. Number 2, I want to get Ishmael Bey on the show. Ishmael got the science of the Moors as it relates to the Moors being here, talking about the Maroons as he was giving his presentation, and we was building with Brother Sharif. He was talking about the Maroons with his good information, because we got Jamaicans that think they're just Jamaican. We got Trinidadians think they're just Trinidadians. We got people in the Bahamas thinking they're just Bahamas. Well, I'm going to tell you, Brother Ishmael Bey, he has the scholarship to tell you how and who these people are as it relates to being Moors. Press a 1 if we're going to get Ishmael Bey on here. Can I get a 1? Ishmael Bey by himself talking about the Moors as it relates all throughout the islands, the West Indies. We need Brother Ishmael Bey. Can we get Ishmael Bey? Press a 1. Y'all making the decision. Can I get a 1? Let me see what I got here. Yeah. Good night. Good night. Good night. Ishmael Bey. Let me see if I can get him. Let me see if I can get him back. Oh yeah, this is the real deal. Because we ain't got time to argue back and forth. We ain't got time to argue back and forth. We got to teach our people. Now, let me see if I can get him too. We're gonna see if we can get him too. There. Let's see if we can get him. He probably act like he busy too. But we ain't gonna worry about it. We're gonna see if we can get him real quick. Now, I don't know if he's still in the chat or not. Let's see if we can get him.
Ishmael Bey.
Oh, we got him, family. We got him. Ishmael Bey, you are live. You are live on Moorish World TV. I just asked the family, did they want me to get Ishmael Bey on the TV, on the Moorish World TV, to talk about the Moors as it relates to the Moors of Barbados, the Moors of Jamaica, the Moors of Cuba, the Moors of all the islands, the Maroons, all of these people that we know have more descent in that DNA, in their blood. Can we get our brother, everybody press one, can we get our brother on the show soon to talk about and walk us through the annals of history to talk about those Moors?
Brother Dahaka, I'll be happy to share the information and make sure that we bring it home all the way back to the Moorish science itself. Absolutely. We'll deal with that indigenous science, and I'm always here to serve the people. Absolutely, Brother Dahaka.
Well, brother, we got you locked in. Now, I'm about to make my schedule on who's coming up here, and we're going to have like a TV channel. It's going to be like a channel. It's going to be the type of channel that whereas though people will know when Ishmael coming on and what he's talking about. People are going to know when Team Osiris coming on, what they talking about. People are going to know when Tunica Ill and everything. Brother, this is going, we're about, see, what we're going to do is we're going to stop the going back and forth. What we're going to do, we're going to begin to just teach and let the truth separate the truth from the falsehood. You feel me? So that's what it's going to be, my brother. And I'm going to definitely inbox you and let you know what date. I'm putting you on a date, brother. That's what it is. Because our people want the information. We don't want the foolishness. So I got you locked in. Peace and love. Anything you want to say to the family?
Peace and love to our listeners. I'm important to let you know that the board on the move. Today for the board, on the Rock Squad, African Morning Scholarship. Join on Facebook. Get certain people. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Peace and love, family. I'll talk to you soon. So my phone cut off. I got excited and that see, I'm gonna make some more calls, but I ain't gonna make them today. You know what I mean? This is a beautiful day. What we're gonna do is we're gonna teach our people it is what it is. Our job is not to go back and forth. If you bring scholarship, we will go back and forth with the scholarship. I have nothing against the individual. Stop thinking that somebody has something against the individual. I have something against the ideal and against the scholarship that people are perpetrating, saying that it's more science, because halftime is not more science. And with that being said, brother, we rolling like this. We're going to drop a few, let's drop a few bombs. Let's drop a few bombs. Let's drop a few bombs. That's right. We're going to drop a few bombs. And you know, we're going to, yeah, there we go. Islam.
Islam?
It's that Mortal Bay. That's who it is.
Sir.
Yeah. All praise.
All praise.
Be to the great God Allah and his noble prophet, Drew Ali. Let's go. This for my people. No matter what you believe, this one for you. And you, and you. Yeah. Moorish world. Let's get it. Here we go again, misleading the queue, claiming that some fat Europeans landed on the roof. He gotta stay at 12 reindeers, he float in the sky. Whoever made up this one, they had to be hot. We teach the kids to believe and tell them never to deceive, and if they do, they don't receive nothing under the tree. We lie and tell them don't, fill their mind with this junk, and wonder why they confused and treat us like punks. We spend our hard-earned money on Xbox and PS, then we give the honor to some BS. We stress on January 1 when New Year comes, waiting on a tax refund, feeling like bust. Yeah, we deck that hall and we like that tree, like the entire crib. It's BG&E, but when the bill comes, we filled up. We tight, let's be real. But all it got to do is Christ. Come on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get somebody mad with this one. Hey, but if you mad, do something, do something. That's what this one called. If you mad, do something. It's a shame that we've been taught to justify a lot of things. Got a plan that demise gave us this religion, fairy tales and superstition. Tell me where it was written. In the order of Jesus, we should put up a tree. But I can show you it was paganistic back in BC. In the Bible book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 2-5, will explain this sin. See, corruption is corruption, no matter how you twist it. Commercialize the birth of your savior, it's ridiculous, sad, upset, mad, and feeling real bad. When you can't buy the Lord, want a new iPad. Try to buy him a Bible, a Quran, a thesaurus. You put them J's, I know you can afford it. Break that cycle, touch down them lights, yeah, burn that tree. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Come on. Yeah. If the truth got you mad, if the truth got you mad, do something. Do something. If the truth got you mad, if the truth got you mad, do something. Do something.